Texans know how to love our neighbors. This isn't it.
Protecting America's future is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Far-right conspiracy theories about trans children causing problems on sports teams, which we know does not occur.
Trying to figure out trans athletes in sports, that's an issue where we could actually come to a policy solution.
Poverty is violence. Pollution is violence. And yes, prison is violence.
James Tallarico is a hypocrite when it comes to fighting for families. Tallarico wants to teach trans ideology in schools and let boys compete in girls' sports. Tallarico says it's immoral to use the oil and gas that employs millions of Texans. Tallarico wants higher taxes and policies that'll raise prices on families. Hypocrite James Tallarico will do anything to push his radical agenda, even if it leaves families broke and jobless.
I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message.
In Texas, we never back down from a fight, and neither does Ken Paxton.
Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's on the front lines of the immigration debate.
Joining us is one of the best attorney generals in the country. He's a terrific American patriot, Ken Paxton.
Ken Paxton is suing the Biden administration to allow deportations to resume.
You're daring the federal government to try and stop you. Why?
Ken Paxton is suing Netflix. Ken Paxton is suing Google.
Ken Paxton is suing TikTok.
Part of the settlement compels Texas Children's Hospital to make a so-called detransition clinic, which would be the first of its kind in the country.
Ken Paxton is suing the NCAA. He claims the lawsuit is about protecting women's sports.
An attorney general who has really led the way, somebody who has been brave and strong. Ken Paxton, tremendous guy.
The major race now called in Texas. Trump-backed candidate Ken Paxton has won the state's Senate race.
Ken Paxton will be the GOP candidate on the ticket come November.
We just made history.
Now, Ken Paxton is ready to take on the next fight and win.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people call him six-gender Jimmy.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
People know him as Tofu Tallarico.
I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
But no matter what you call him, let me tell you this. James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country. It's time to finish this, Texas. Defeat James Tallarico and deliver for our state.
Ken Paxton for U.S. Senate.
Particular accusation, I oppose gender reassignment surgeries for minors.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
Faith is my foundation. My politics grows out of my faith. Jesus is far more radical than any political ideology or political candidate.
Jesus is a radical, he says. Well, the more voters are learning about Democrats' secret weapon in Texas, James Tallarico, the more it looks like their rising star could flame out early. Tallarico attends St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Austin, which is known for its preaching of progressive politics. For instance, traditional references to God as Lord or King, those are rejected. And the teachings in the church sound like they're ripped from the pages of an Ivy League history prof's lectures, bemoaning the American founding, which it insists is forever scarred by slavery and the stealing of Native American lands, of course. And on the life question, well, let's just say Tallarico is diametrically at odds with most Texas voters.
What do you think is the biblical evidence to support the opinion of being pro-abortion?
In Genesis, God creates life by breathing life into the first human being. Life starts when you take your first breath. The angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. That is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent. You cannot force someone to create.
In that perverse reading of Scripture, he's either stupid or a liar, and neither is an attractive quality for candidates that would in any way appeal to Texas Christians, whom, by the way, he went on to insult.
Jesus liberates. Christian nationalism controls. Jesus saves. Christian nationalism kills. They have co-opted the Son of God. They've turned this humble rabbi into a gun-toting, gay-bashing, science-denying, money-loving, fear-mongering fascist. And it is incumbent upon all Christians to confront it and denounce it.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were little Nona's, and then they opened up brick and mortar, so now they're Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there today. And so the point is that I think all of us, not just policymakers, but everyone has to take personal responsibility in this effort.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
God is non-binary. There are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're gonna call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Low T Tallarico, too weak for Texas. Lone Star Liberty PAC is responsible for the content of this ad. This is Texas. This is not.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This is Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
Move over, Davy Crockett. There's a new Texas trailblazer in town, and their name is James Tallarico, the man who bragged, "Our office is the first in the history of Texas to add pronouns to our official business cards."
I am running around like a crazy person today,
spreading his white skin wherever he goes.
I am not a perfect Christian. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, and it's a painful process.
Bearing the cross of white skin and unambiguous masculinity.
I was a big nerd in high school, never played sports. I probably shouldn't out myself like this. Sex is a spectrum, and oftentimes it can be very ambiguous.
God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
Straight from Revelations in the woke James Bible.
I want us all to be aware of that. There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
And on the 7th day, they rested. But not James Tallarico. He built an ark big enough for all creatures.
To be able to write legislation that benefits not just the people, but also our animal friends.
Just like the Supreme Court said, one cow, one vote.
Now, existential, that we try to reduce our meat consumption. It's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do.
The 11th commandment, thou shalt not smoke brisket.
I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
So step aside, Sam Houston. Tallarico's bravery towers over Texas. He's fighting for all 6 genders and tens of thousands of species.
I guess we just have a different moral yardstick.
You know what insults Jesus?
Binary white people who eat barbecue and remember the Alamo?
There's only been one perfect Christian.
And they certainly weren't a carnivorous, Caucasian, binary Homo sapien, according to the woke Gospel of James.
They're going to call me a radical leftist, un-Texan, un-American.
And bar none, the weirdest candidate for Senate the Lone Star State has ever seen.
This is Texas. This is not.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This is Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
Not sure if Ken Paxton is in a place to lecture us on moral values. You know, my granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, and when I was real little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion. Because Jesus gave us 2 commandments to follow: love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. My faith teaches me to love my neighbor as myself. Not just my neighbors who look like me, not just my neighbors who vote like me, not just my neighbors who pray like me. I'm called to love all of my neighbors the way I love myself. That includes my Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, agnostic, and atheist neighbors. I don't want anyone forcing their religion down my throats. I certainly don't want the government forcing a religion down my throat. And so why would I do that to any of my neighbors? In the Texas House of Representatives, I have been a vocal critic of Christian nationalism. I'm a Christian, but I know that the most dangerous form of government is theocracy, because the only thing worse than a tyrant is a tyrant who thinks they're on a mission from God. And I've also been the most vocal defender of the separation of church and state. I was raised to believe that that separation in our First Amendment, in the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, is a sacred boundary that doesn't just benefit the state, doesn't just benefit democracy, but it also benefits the church. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice. So I think this is an unconstitutional decision. I also think it's a deeply un-Christian decision, because we are supposed to be loving all of our neighbors, particularly our neighbors of other faiths.
Right now, Senator Cornyn and Attorney General Paxton are focused on fighting one another. But the national...
I listened to 15 hours of testimony on this bill. The worst part for me was the number of Christians who used Scripture to justify hurting children. Even on this floor today, a member tried to justify a hateful amendment in the name of God's law. So let's talk about that. The first 2 lines of the Bible, the first 2 lines in Genesis, use 2 different Hebrew words to describe God. One is the masculine Hebrew noun for divinity. The second is the feminine Hebrew noun for spirit. God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
In Genesis 1:26, God speaks of God's self in the plural, saying, "Let us make human beings in our image to be like us." That's the infinite multitude of God, the masculine, the feminine, and everything in between. Trans children are God's children, made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing at all. They are perfect, they are beautiful, and they are sacred. Bullying children is immoral. It's a sin, a special kind of sin. Did they teach you in Sunday school that Jesus Christ himself was a radical feminist? The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. God is non-binary. You can't call yourself a Christian and reject the stranger seeking asylum at our southern border. Our trans community needs abortion care too. Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. We are trying to fundamentally change the politics in this state and in this country. Yeah. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity.
Christians and Muslims and Jews all worship the same God. Muslims love Jesus. They love Moses and Abraham. We are all branches on the same tree as the Abrahamic faith. And so it's heartbreaking to watch extremists, whether they are Christian nationalists or whether they're the Taliban or Al-Qaeda, perverting these beautiful traditions that have so much in common to attack others and consolidate their own power. One is maybe the most insidious. It was a new state curriculum that would teach Christian Bible stories as historical fact, as the only truth to our youngest students. And I mean kindergarten, first graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They haven't formed their own worldviews. And to push propaganda, to push indoctrination on those youngest students is deeply immoral. And I taught a lot of undocumented students. Those students many times were the hardest working, the most conscientious, and the most American students that I had.
Are you okay with voter ID?
So voter ID is currently required in the state of Texas. I opposed having to
How about for mail-in ballots?
To vote.
How about having to send your ballot in? Should you have to prove who you are? Because that's what Democrats are opposing.
Pete, I just said I oppose voter ID. Currently, it's a law in Texas, but I oppose that law because I think you don't need it.
You oppose voter ID? You don't think the most sacred obligation of our republic, you should have to prove who you are in order to vote?
So there are a lot of Texans, actually hundreds of thousands, who don't have a driver's license. As citizens. Every one of our neighbors with a uterus became the property of the state.
And in Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the State House on justice reform, and right now we've got a system that doesn't serve all Americans equally, and we know that Black Texans have been have not gotten the justice they deserve in many cases. And I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no Black members of the jury, and to me, that's the only evidence you need to really prove that this system is not working for Black Texans. You saw it in the anti-LGBTQ legislation, including the bill that would have denied gender-affirming health care to trans children. And then, of course, infamously, we saw it last session with the most extreme abortion ban in the country. All these ideologies stem from this Christofascism movement. But some things are more important than perfectly fair competition in sports. I love, and just say this because it's on my mind, the trans children. Defending trans Texas is something we have to do every day at the state capitol.
and a special place in my heart for LGBTQ here.
Far-right conspiracy theories about trans children causing problems on sports teams.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
To the trans kids watching at home, I just want to say, I love you. I should mention, my imagination is also just limited by my own background and identity, right? My whiteness, my masculinity, all those things limit my imagination about what's possible. So I have to continually press against that to try to expand the limits of what I'm dreaming of for our community. And that's where, Dr. Robin, your book helps me do that. And podcasts like this help me do that.
Of Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the State House on justice reform, and right now we've got a system that doesn't serve all Americans equally, and we know that Black Texans have not gotten the justice they deserve in many cases. And I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no Black members of the jury, and to me, that's the only evidence you need to really prove that this system is not working for Black Texans.
Senate Bill 667 stopped Texas from sending your tax dollars to companies controlled by the Communist Party. He voted no on that too. While Texans are struggling to make ends meet, Tallarico voted to let your taxpayer dollars go to Chinese companies. Think about that for a second. Texans are choosing between the grocery bill and the electric bill right now. And James Tallarico voted to take their taxpayer dollars and then put them in the pockets of the Chinese Communist Party. That's a reality. That's not just a policy disagreement. It calls into question whose side you're on. 8 years as a politician, James Tallarico didn't vote against China even once. He just voted against us in Texas.
My faith is why I'm in politics. So I grew up at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, which is right outside Austin city limits, up 35, led by Reverend Jim Rigby, who is a graduate of the seminary across the street.
Right.
And, that it was always, Dr. Jim always taught us that love has to grow into justice.
Right.
Justice is just love out in public. Right. And so that our church was really active in LGBTQ rights in the 90s. We caught some attention by letting an atheist join our church in the 2000s. And then in the 2010s, again, stirred some controversy by housing an undocumented family, a mother and son who were close to being deported by ICE.
This is Texas. This is not.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This is Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
Move over, Davy Crockett. There's a new Texas trailblazer in town, and their name is James Tallarico, the man who bragged, "Our office is the first in the history of Texas to add pronouns to our official business cards."
I am running around like a crazy person today,
spreading his white skin wherever he goes.
I am not a perfect Christian. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, and it's a painful
process.
Bearing the cross of white skin and unambiguous masculinity.
I was a big nerd in high school, never played sports. I probably shouldn't out myself like this. Sex is a spectrum, and oftentimes it can be very ambiguous.
God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
Straight from Revelations in the woke James Bible.
I want us all to be aware of that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
And on the 7th day, they rested. But not James Talarico. He built an ark big enough for all creatures.
To be able to write legislation that benefits not just the people, but also our animal friends.
Just like the Supreme Court said, 1 cow, 1 vote.
Now, existential, that we try to reduce our meat consumption. That's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do.
The 11th commandment. Thou shalt not smoke brisket.
I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
So step aside, Sam Houston. Talarico's bravery towers over Texas. He's fighting for all 6 genders and tens of thousands of species.
I guess we just have a different moral yardstick.
You know what insults Jesus? Binary white people who eat barbecue and remember the Alamo?
There's only been one perfect Christian.
And they certainly weren't a carnivorous Caucasian binary Homo sapien, according to the woke Gospel of James.
They're going to call me a radical leftist, un-Texan, un-American.
And bar none, the weirdest candidate for Senate the Lone Star State has ever seen.
In Texas, we value loving our neighbors. James Talarico voted 3 times to protect child sex offenders and violent criminals over victims. You heard that right. A bipartisan coalition of both Democrats and Republicans supported legislation to protect victims. But Talarico consistently votes with his most radical colleagues. Texans know how to love our neighbors. This isn't it.
Protecting America's future is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Far-right conspiracy theories about trans children causing problems on sports teams, which we know does not occur.
Trying to figure out trans athletes in sports, that's an issue where we could actually come to a policy solution.
Poverty is violence. Pollution is violence. And yes, prison is violence.
James Talarico is a hypocrite when it comes to fighting for families. Talarico wants to teach trans ideology in schools and let boys compete in girls' sports. Talarico says it's immoral to use the oil and gas that employs millions of Texans. Talarico wants higher taxes and policies that'll raise prices on families. Hypocrite James Talarico will do anything to push his radical agenda, even if it leaves families broke and jobless.
I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message.
In Texas, we never back down from a fight, and neither does Ken Paxton.
Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's on the front lines of the immigration debate.
Joining us is one of the best attorney generals in the country. He's a terrific American patriot, Ken Paxton.
Ken Paxton is suing the Biden administration to allow deportations to resume.
You're daring the federal government to try and stop you. Why?
Ken Paxton is suing Netflix. Ken Paxton is suing Google.
Ken Paxton is suing TikTok.
Part of the settlement compels Texas Children's Hospital to make a so-called detransition clinic, which would be the first of its kind in the country.
Ken Paxton is suing the NCAA. He claims the lawsuit is about protecting women's sports.
An attorney general who has really led the way, somebody who has been brave and strong. Ken Paxton, tremendous guy.
The major race now called in Texas. Trump-backed candidate Ken Paxton has won the state's Senate race.
Ken Paxton will be the GOP candidate on the ticket come November.
We just made history.
Now, Ken Paxton is ready to take on the next fight and win.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people call him six-gender Jimmy.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two
biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
People know him as Tofu Tallarico.
I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
But no matter what you call him, let me tell you this. James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country. It's time to finish this, Texas. Defeat James Tallarico and deliver for our state.
Ken Paxton for U.S. Senate.
Particular accusation, I oppose gender reassignment surgeries for minors.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
Faith is my foundation. My politics grows out of my faith. Jesus is far more radical than any political ideology or political candidate.
Jesus is a radical, he says. Well, the more voters are learning about Democrats' secret weapon in Texas, James Tallarico, the more it looks like their rising star could flame out early. Tallarico attends St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Austin, which is known for its preaching of progressive politics. For instance, traditional references to God as Lord or King, those are rejected. And the teachings in the church sound like they're ripped from the pages of an Ivy League history prof's lectures, bemoaning the American founding, which it insists is forever scarred by slavery and the stealing of Native American lands, of course. And on the life question, well, let's just say Tallarico is diametrically at odds with most Texas voters.
What do you think is the biblical evidence to support the opinion of being pro-abortion?
In Genesis, God creates life by breathing life into the first human being. Life starts when you take your first breath. The angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. That is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent. You cannot force someone to create.
In that perverse reading of Scripture, he's either stupid or a liar, and neither is an attractive quality for candidates that would in any way appeal to Texas Christians, whom, by the way, he went on to insult.
Jesus liberates. Christian nationalism controls. Jesus saves. Christian nationalism kills. They have co-opted the Son of God. They've turned this humble rabbi into a gun-toting, gay-bashing, science-denying, money-loving, fear-mongering fascist. And it is incumbent upon all Christians to confront it and denounce it.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were Little Nona's, and then they opened up brick and mortar, so now they're Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there today. And so the point is that I think all of us, not just policymakers, but everyone has to take personal responsibility in this effort.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
God is non-binary. There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're gonna call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love, that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Low T Tallarico. Too weak for Texas. Lone Star Liberty PAC is responsible for the content of this ad. This is Texas. This is not.
There are
are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This is Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
Move over, Davy Crockett. There's a new Texas trailblazer in town, and their name is James Tallarico, the man who bragged, "Our office is the first in the history of Texas to add pronouns to our official business cards."
I am running around like a crazy person today,
spreading his white skin wherever he goes.
I am not a perfect Christian.
Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, and it's a painful process.
Bearing the cross of white skin and unambiguous masculinity.
I was a big nerd in high school, never played sports. I probably shouldn't out myself like this. Sex is a spectrum, and oftentimes it can be very ambiguous.
God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
Straight from Revelations in the woke James Bible.
I want us all to be aware of that. There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
And on the 7th day, they rested. But not James Tallarico. He built an ark big enough for all creatures.
To be able to write legislation that benefits not just the people, but also our animal friends.
Just like the Supreme Court said, 1 cow, 1 vote.
Now, existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. That's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do.
The 11th commandment, thou shalt not smoke brisket.
I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
So step aside, Sam Houston. Tallarico's bravery towers over Texas. He's fighting for all 6 genders and tens of thousands of species.
I guess we just have a different moral yardstick. You know what insults Jesus?
Binary white people who eat barbecue and remember the Alamo?
There's only been one perfect Christian.
And they certainly weren't a carnivorous Caucasian binary Homo sapien, according to the woke Gospel of James.
They're going to call me a radical leftist, un-Texan, un-American.
And bar none, the weirdest candidate for Senate the Lone Star State has ever seen.
This is Texas. This is not.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This is Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
I'm not sure if Ken Paxton is in a place to lecture us on moral values. You know, my granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, and when I was real little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion. Because Jesus gave us 2 commandments to follow: love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. My faith teaches me to love my neighbor as myself. Not just my neighbors who look like me, not just my neighbors who vote like me, not just my neighbors who pray like me. I'm called to love all of my neighbors the way I love myself. That includes my Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, agnostic, and atheist neighbors.
I don't want anyone forcing their religion down my throats. I certainly don't want the government forcing a religion down my throat. And so why would I do that to any of my neighbors? In the Texas House of Representatives, I have been a vocal critic of Christian nationalism. I'm a Christian, but I know that the most dangerous form of government is theocracy, because the only thing worse than a tyrant is a tyrant who thinks they're on a mission from God. And I've also been the most vocal defender of the separation of church and state. I was raised to believe that that separation in our First Amendment, in the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, is a sacred boundary that doesn't just benefit the state, doesn't just benefit democracy, but it also benefits the church. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice. So I think this is an unconstitutional decision. I also think it's a deeply unchristian decision, because we are supposed to be loving all of our neighbors, particularly our neighbors of other faiths.
Right now, Senator Cornyn and Attorney General Paxton are focused on fighting one another. But the national...
I listened to 15 hours of testimony on this bill. The worst part for me was the number of Christians who used Scripture to justify hurting children. Even on this floor today, a member tried to justify a hateful amendment in the name of God's law. So let's talk about that. The first two lines of the Bible, the first two lines in Genesis, use two different Hebrew words to describe God. One is the masculine Hebrew noun for divinity. The second is the feminine Hebrew noun for spirit. God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary. In Genesis 1:26, God speaks of God's self in the plural, saying, "Let us make human beings in our image to be like us." That's the infinite multitude of God, the masculine, the feminine, and everything in between. Trans children are God's children, made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing at all. They are perfect, they are beautiful, and they are sacred. Bullying children is immoral. It's a sin, a special kind of sin.
Did they teach you in Sunday school that Jesus Christ himself was a radical feminist?
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. God is non-binary.
You can't call yourself a Christian and reject the stranger seeking asylum at our southern border.
Our trans community needs abortion care too.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
We are trying to fundamentally change the politics in this state and in this country.
No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity.
Christians and Muslims and Jews all worship the same God. Muslims love Jesus. They love Moses and Abraham.
Same God. I don't know where that cat learned his religious prowess, folks, but it wasn't any church that I know of. Comparing Jesus Christ to what is the prophet Muhammad? Yeah. I mean, they're basically the same guy. One was a bloodthirsty warlord. The other one was the Prince of Peace. Yeah, but otherwise, oh my gosh, I just can't. Welcome, everybody. It's a Third Rail, James Talafreak Show. By the way, Alex, is that going to be our intro? You're just going to keep on adding to the looniness. But by the time we get to Election Day, I mean, the entire intro is probably going to be about 10, 15 minutes long.
Yeah, no, can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know how I want to do the intro to the show, but I am just fascinated by that. So I play that because I'm just like, there are people who will vote for that, and
I know.
that is the most fascinating thing that I could imagine.
First things first, let's do some introductions. Hey, folks, I'm your liberty-loving Latino, Chris Salcedo. Welcome to the Third Rail. You've got Alexander Muse at Amuse on X, and you have our buddy Chris Putnam. He is the head honcho, the big cheese, if you will, over at the Dallas Express. Hey, man.
Howdy.
So, guys, we've got a lot to talk about today, as usual, and I guess we should start on the state of the race. What is with the Karl Rove Never Trump Network? I mean,
my father called me today.
I don't get it, man. They are completely, they're not even hiding it. The anti-Paxton bent that they have over there.
My father called me today and he was like, what is going, because he knows I've sort of plugged in a little bit with the campaign. He said, what is going on? Why aren't they campaigning? Why aren't they doing anything? Why is he just, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I happen to know that they're out doing rallies weekly. They're out at fundraisers. Like, it's clear there's a lot going on. And I know this because I know people involved in the campaign and they're busy.
Yeah.
Constantly. And
It's fake news, and it's a narrative that they're purposely selling out there.
Yeah, no, and I asked him, I said, what are you getting this? He told me the same thing. It was like, well, I just on Fox, they're saying blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So it's literally a thing. So I don't watch Fox, so I don't know this, but
neither do I.
Yeah. So but my father literally was just going, from his perspective, if you're a Republican and you're in Texas, you basically are convinced, and you watch Fox, you're convinced that Tallarico has won and it's over.
Yeah, you know what? I would also like to point out Karl Rove's influence over at the Karl Rove Never Trump Network. Karl Rove is one of these fake Republicans like George W. Bush, one of these individuals who believes that it is Republican to find the nearest butt cheek of the nearest Democrat to place your lips on. And anybody who strays out of that mold is persona non grata in the accommodating doormat Republican Party. It's why they hate Trump. It's why they hate Paxton. And you can tell just how butthurt Karl Rove is, the Bush network is over John Cornyn's defeat in Texas. Mr. Putnam, Mr. Cornyn earned his defeat. Mr. Cornyn is now doubling down, tripling down on his left-wing extremism. He's not campaigning for Ken Paxton. He's not raising any money. Mr. Cornyn is showing that he was all for the Republican Party as long as surrender caucus Republicans were being elected. But the minute you start changing and wanting somebody who's actually going to oppose a Democrat in real substantive ways, that's when John Cornyn leaves you, and we're seeing it. Yes.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. I think most of these senators, with the notable exceptions of folks like Mike Lee, Tom Cruise. Oh,
I love Tom. Tom's amazing.
Senator from Utah, is that now?
Rand Paul. They don't want Ken in the Senate. It's starting to feel like they prefer to have like a Democrat majority Senate, which is just madness, and it's absolutely disappointing that Senator Cornyn won't offer a full-throated endorsement of Ken. The Democrats have a similar problem, as because Jasmine's doing absolutely nothing for Tallarico, and he's got a real problem, with the base and his own base, and particularly blacks. And for folks who really understand the electoral math of that particular election, Republicans' challenges, we know who our voters are. They have to get the Republican voters that, they know and are ID'd to the polls. And the big challenge, of course, is that a lot of Trump voters, they just don't show up when he's not on the ballot. And then you add in the fact that it's factionalized right now. His own base is split somewhat. I don't know what the percentages are, on Iran and Israel. And that's their challenge. The Democrats' challenge is they have to actually expand their base. They got to get new voters to the polls, more voters, in order to get over 50, which they haven't done, as since 1994. And right now, they've got a problem with Black and some Hispanic voters, particularly males.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time. It's electoral fact. Like, people run from this issue, but it's the truth. I don't know why we can't talk about it openly, because it's a real electoral issue. Black voters think he's gay and he's lying about it. It's just the truth. I mean, you can go back to that famous Bill Maher, Stephen A. Smith interview about Pete Buttigieg, where Stephen A. Smith acknowledged it. And it's a real factor in this election. I think we should be talking about it more.
Well, look, he probably is lying. He probably is lying about it, because that's what these politicians do. But left-wingers of all stripes lie. Lisa Murkowski, which we'll get into, stone cold lied about the Save America Act and what it would do with Alaska. She's a stone cold liar, but she's doing it in service to socialism, in service to harming the United States of America, getting rid of the U.S. Constitution. So whether you call yourself a Republican or Democrat, it is leftists lie. It's Salcedo show axiom number 5. They always lie. Alex, Darlene Graham didn't have a command of foreign policy, and she put out kind of a red herring. She was saying, well, Trump didn't have any experience, and he got the top job, and he's done a great job. That wasn't the point. That wasn't what we were all saying and are objecting to. Trump had foreign policy experience because he was an international businessman and had some knowledge of what was going on in the world. She had no idea, and frankly, she won.
I'm definitely frustrated by that race.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I don't know how much it helps me to spend time attacking her right now. And that's similarly how I feel with some people in our own state. I definitely feel the same way. I don't understand what happened there. I don't know why that was the decision we needed to make. I loved the fact that that was the interim solution, but I didn't understand why it was the endorsement. And I don't know. I mean, I'm a simple man. I have no idea.
The crazy thing is that no matter what, if you're a Republican, what you think about Lindsey Graham, Lindsey, in whether you agreed with him or not, Lindsey had, like, more than anybody in the Senate, had a command of foreign policy. You'd think some of that would have bled off, like
he I did not agree with him politically, but he was very good at his job, and he was very good at negotiating. I don't know much about I don't know much about her, but I can tell you that what I do know didn't impress me at all. And I thought there were some better candidates that we should have picked. And I don't understand what just happened. I'm concerned. I hope we don't lose that race. I mean,
I think we'll win it. The concern is that she's going to be pliable and, isn't as experienced as Lindsey, of course. And that, that could suck her into the uniparty machine.
Yeah.
Well, but she's definitely going. I mean, we already knew that. I mean, it's over. But good news is we're getting the same thing that we had before.
Well, wait a minute. Lindsey Graham, disagree with him, which I did on many occasions, or agree with him. There was no doubt in my mind that Lindsey Graham had a perspective, and he stuck to his guns. Granted, it was most of the time with these left-wingers who call themselves Republicans, but I got a sense that he was acting of his own opinion in his own accord. You can't say that with Darlene Graham. She's going to be, as you noted, she's going to be just do what the caucus tells you to, and no independent thought, because she has, in particular when it comes about foreign policy, she's not going to have any idea on which to base an objection or an agreement with.
Right. She's going to be pliable in that respect. Yeah.
And that is no bueno, man. Our senators have got to have a basic understanding of foreign policy, in my humble opinion. Let's tee up Murkowski because.
Can we stop real quick? I would love. So there's two things I would love to go over. One, before we get into politics. One,
too late for that.
Well, no, it's great. It's good. We jumped right in, and now I like to jump right out.
Okay.
So I would love to talk to both of you about two different things. One, I'd love to find out about what you're doing with Glenn Beck, and I'd also love to hear from Chris Putnam about what's going on with the convention, and then let's jump into issues. So why don't you go and tell me about what you're doing with Glenn, and then we'll go from there.
I was going to do that last. You know what? And because
you know what, if you want to do that last, let's do it last. Chris, do you want to do convention now?
Yeah, Mr. Putnam, why don't we let the guests go first? So Chris, what is going on with the latest with the convention?
Yeah, so it's all kind of finally gelling, and the plane is landing. It's been really organized chaos. I think, that's true for both us at the Dallas Express as well as the RNC, I think, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be all those things that they're promising. It's going to be huge and epic. We have a number of discrete events planned. On the 9th, we're actually going to be doing a screening that's hosted by Laura Logan, who I spoke to at length yesterday, of the Don't Sharia My Texas film. And there's going to be a corresponding panel discussion about Islamification in Texas and what's going on and what can be done, etc. That we're going to have a grassroots event on the 9th in the evening. The times are not hardened yet, but we'll get that information out ASAP. Hosted by a number of our Texas statewide candidates, Senator Paxton and others, for folks that can't afford the we talked about
Senator
last week.
Paxton, as in the current state Senator Paxton.
Oh, sorry, Attorney General Paxton. I kind of jumped the gun there.
It's
didn't I?
all right. Has a nice ring to it. I like it in both occasions. So
yeah. So yes, and some other notable folks. For folks that can't afford the high prices of the passes, their credentials for the event, to get you
how much does it cost to go to the event?
Our events, we're not anticipating charging.
I'm talking about the convention. How much does it cost?
Last I heard was still anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000, depending on what package you buy.
$20,000.
Yeah, that's for some kind of VIP package. I'm not into too much of the details, but I know it's that kind of range. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and the schedule. By the way, the schedule's out now. You can Google it. Of all the discrete events, I think it was published last
Trump's
night.
going to be there both days.
Yeah. They're not messing around. As you guys know.
I will tell you that I was like, I'm the kind of guy who's like, okay, not even going until you tell me I can't go, and then I became very interested in going. And then, but I did get. Someone from the White House reached out to me, and they have made sure that I'm very much invited. So I have to tell you guys, hey, I get to go.
Excellent. Well, congratulations.
But now that I'm invited, I'm kind of like, maybe I'm kind of busy.
Well, what happened with Susie? Did Susie drop her objection to you? Is that what happened?
I don't know. I do know a little bit more than I'm telling here. I can't share, but evidently there was she might not be happy about the situation, but I'm allowed to go.
Well, congratulations. And by the way,
I don't even know how much time I'm going to spend inside the arena. There's so much stuff going on around it.
Everything is outside. Every single person has invited me is outside. Yeah.
Is it 2 days? You said 2 days. Is it a Friday, Saturday thing?
It's Wednesday, Thursday. But I'm also anticipating there'll be some parties on Tuesday night ahead of the event. We're looking at doing something ourselves on that front.
Wednesday.
Let's Chris Putnam every night.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
The Dallas Express will be live streaming from a private location that's on the plaza. The whole thing, wire to wire. We're doing that with Media Research Center and their For America arm. So that'll be fun.
They're the guys with the bulldog logo thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
David Bozel's going to be there.
Yeah.
So, we're going to have David Bozel. We're going to have Laura Logan. It's going to be really, really cool.
Great. Media Research Center, and they do Newsbusters. I can't remember which one has it all. Newsbusters is that they monitor the biased press and all their left-wing idiocy and their fake journalism and expose it.
We've actually been working really closely with them on exposing the bias amongst some of the big digital aggregators. We happen to have a commercial arrangement with Yahoo for national distribution.
Right.
It could be better, but they carry us, right? Google News carries us constantly, like it's every day. But Apple, nothing. And that's true of anybody that is perceived to lean right in any way. I mean, they just can, it's just,
It's rigged, man.
it's rigged. And then you got
NewsGuard out there.
no, what's the one that's Chinese owned? Newsbreak. And it's a remarkable, like how much readership Newsbreak has, because they're aggregating a lot of this local stuff everywhere nationally. It's Chinese owned, literally run out of Beijing. And so we're working up to trying to do a and this is Media Research Center's working. By the way, they're the ones that arm Congressman Gill with a lot of the great stuff that he uses in these hearings when he basically pantses all these incredibly woke officials from NPR and PBS and pick one. So it's we're working up to a congressional hearing where we would testify about not in a pejorative way, just our experience working with those aggregators, what's fair, what's not fair, and of course the ones that, like Apple, that just absolutely refuse to platform anything that's center right in any way.
Yeah, you got me with the Yahoo guys. They wouldn't platform me, but of course Apple is like, hell no.
The way it works with Yahoo is it's so funny. Because they are managing to kind of a quota, and so like 15% of what they will aggregate or carry might come from center right leaning sources, but typically the way it works is they just have an open pipe to us, so they select what they want. But it's always like lifestyle stuff. It's really like stuff that's non-political, right? Like,
okay, well, I have zero lifestyle stuff. I should put some lifestyle stuff on.
You want a culture map, right?
I don't think they would do it anyway. Okay.
Culture map could be a good fit. Okay. So let's get back to your team. Get back to what you got going on.
Well, that's a lot of it right there. And then there's going to be some other events as well. We have a private event that that's in advance of the Trump speech that we're doing in conjunction with Club for Growth. I know you guys are familiar with them, but they're the largest, most successful super PAC in America. Last time I checked, like an 82% win rate. I helped bring that average down, but that's going to be a good one because they're so influential, and they have a lot of supported candidates in this cycle, including Attorney General Paxton, and of course that's the biggest race in the country. It's the single biggest race in the country. It could determine the fate of the Senate, along now with Darling Graham's race. Although I feel more confident about that one right now. And then I'm sure you guys noted that Kalshi swung back to Paxton by 4 points just here recently.
I saw.
Did they? I didn't see that. That's good.
Yeah.
I actually got admonished by Laura Logan because I had some insight into some internal campaign polling across a number of statewide races, right? Because these campaigns, they poll not only their own races, they're polling every race. And it was a little bit frightening. And she's like, Chris, you can't be out there talking about that. She goes, it's nonsense. She's like, this guy, I think she calls him Little Obama or something. She's like, there's no chance this guy's getting elected.
Well,
so she let me have it a little bit.
I will tell you that I am concerned a little bit, but just as a little bit of a reveal, I'm a sponsor. I get sponsored by Polymarket, and previously was sponsored by Kalshi. I made.
What are they showing right now, by the way?
I made the switch. I look at it periodically, but when they're this close, that means there's not a decision. So we're at that place, and
it's all about GOTV again. Who's going to get their voters out, right? And
yeah. So I don't know if we talked about this earlier, but my father had called me today and said, "What is going on with Ken?" And where are we at? And so at the end of the day, I agree with you because the general person out there is worried about that. But I hope I have faith that our voters in Texas don't want Tallarico's version of America.
Guys, when Ken Paxton wins by 7 or 8 points, I just hope I have the wherewithal to watch the Karl Rove Never Trump Network just seething
Meltdown.
that they just couldn't basically have the narrative. I know it's all ready to go. I know Karl Rove already has it ready to go, and George Bush has it all ready to go, and John Cornyn has it all ready to go. See, we can't win with conservatives like this. We've got to win with moderate squishes that find the nearest Democrat ass butt cheek to plant their lips on. That's the only way a Republican can win. And he is John Cornyn. Trust me, folks. I know this man. I know his psychosis. I know exactly what drives him. And he wants more than anything else to be able to say, I told you so. You should have gone with me. And at least we could have had a Republican in name only, as I caved into Democrats in the name of republicanism. If there is a loss, there won't be. But I just hope I am there to watch this whole House of Cards narrative they're building collapse. I honestly I can't wait. 69 days. 69 days. So, Chris, anything else we need to cover on?
No, just like follow along at DallasExpress.com. We'll in the next 2 days or so, we'll have a full schedule out of everything that we're up to, and everything that we do, other than the One Club for Growth event, will be a public event, no cost.
Right.
So come find us out there and stay tuned. Watch the live stream.
I'll get you guys information on Torch Radio coming up here in a minute, and I think we will have a presence there as well. So, Alex, can you bring up my video? You did it last week. Remember how to do it? There it is. Guys, let's have a listen.
This is James O'Keefe on a remote island off the coast of Alaska known as Unalaska. Senator Murkowski said that if the SAVE Act passes, people on this island, including fishermen, won't be able to vote. But everyone that I spoke to, posing as a poll worker, contradicted Senator Lisa Murkowski.
What we're talking about right now is just the registration to vote. So you're in Unalaska, the flight to Anchorage, because this is where you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go into Anchorage.
Let's say you were trained to process voter registrations.
We can do that here.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
You do voter registrations here?
That's so convenient. You can just do it at the library.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Anchorage. Huh.
Everyone we spoke to here said they're able to register to vote here. They're able to prove citizenship by going to the library.
Because we're just interested in voting tomorrow. We don't have to go to Anchorage to get an ID.
No, you can come here.
I don't have to go to Anchorage?
No, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're able to prove citizenship, right?
Yeah.
This is where citizens, Alaskans, can present their documentary proof of citizenship. I'm going all the way to Anchorage.
I wonder why those politicians tell us we got to go to Anchorage.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's strange. I thought you had to go to Anchorage.
Yeah. Thought you had to go to Anchorage. Alex, there's a word for what Lisa Murkowski did. It's on the tip of my tongue. She lied. Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, who was elected under rather dubious circumstances, is a liar, is a stone cold liar. Where am I going wrong?
Yeah, no, I agree. When James got unceremoniously fired from Project Veritas, I went and helped him start OMG, and I learned so much from him. He is a very interesting guy, and I spent 6 months on the ground, running, gunning with him, and amazing guy, and I love this. And this was not, groundbreaking. There's nothing going on here except just show up in the town that Lisa Murkowski said you had to go to, and you couldn't vote, you couldn't register, you couldn't do all these things. He just got on a plane. It makes a lot of work. It costs a lot of money, but he just sat there on the ground and said, "Hey, I want to be able to register to vote. I want to be able to prove my citizenship, etc." And he proved that she is a literal liar. She sat there on the floor of the Senate and lied to all of us. And I believed her, to be honest. Why would she lie? I mean, she knows her state better than all of us. I don't know anything, but James, his instinct is really good. good, by the way. And he said, okay, well, let's just fly out there and see what the truth is. And he flew out there and found out that she is just a blatant liar. She's blocking the passage of the SAVE Act by pushing a blatant lie. And it's just insane. So yes.
What's her motivation, by the way?
Well, wait a minute, Chris. I'm going to ask you about. 'Cause I want to get to that. What you're bringing up, and good instincts, by the way. But to Alex's point, the New York Times, the Washington Post, they're flush with cash, right? ABC fake news, NBC fake news, CBS fake news could have taken the same flight out to Alaska. They could have stuck a camera in the face of these people, and they could have done this report just like James O'Keefe did. But you know why they didn't? Because I would imagine many of them knew that Lisa Murkowski is a filthy, stinking, rotten liar and a piece of trash. And they didn't want to expose that she was a liar because they too want to defeat the Save America Act and election integrity. But if you, as a newspaper guy and a man that believes in journalism, if you can address where the rest of the news, the so-called journalists are in this country who didn't make the trek that James O'Keefe did.
You know, I always say this, like when you're talking about reporting the news, truth is sacrosanct. It should not be just a suggestion. It's everything. We lost that so long ago. You know, now, I mean, I don't care remember we talked about this on the last show or not, but consider the fact that the single biggest story in America after Trump won in 2016 to 2020 was Russiagate. It was a lie, and anybody that dug into it knew it was a lie. It was a manufactured lie by the Clinton campaign and the DNC, and the deep state went right along with it. But it wasn't hard to understand that it wasn't true.
Crossfire Hurricane was the official, by the way, launched by Obama and Hillary, a conspiracy across government, a grand conspiracy, I would say. Go ahead.
Single biggest story in the country for 4 years, right? Then what was the next single biggest story between 2020 and let's say 2023 leading up to this last election? It was COVID. Another lie. The origins of COVID, lie from day one. Anybody that is a critical thinker, that has any rationality or objectivity to them at all, knew that this story about this wet bat in a market that just happened to be a few hundred yards down from the Wuhan biology lab, which we helped fund. You know, like it's just like, it's not even, it's incredible that so many people bought into it. And then vaccines that aren't vaccines, that was the single biggest story.
It was.
So the point of all that is they don't care about the truth. They are exclusively invested in far left political narrative that benefits one party. And let me tell you something, take Fox out of the equation. That's 90% of the media. And, you know, Elon's done a great job of actually, you know, putting up this fact sheet that tracks campaign donations from journalists.
Yeah.
And it's 90+%. And again, if we could just like convince people that, because you're, you know, like focus on the truth.
Honorable mention to Hunter Biden laptop. Another big story that was
there's a million of them.
Because of socialists who dominate the biased press. Exactly.
Kyle Rittenhouse, who's a personal friend of mine. Like it goes on and on and on. Why would anybody believe anything that these people say? And like, I ask a different question. Why are they allowed in the White House press briefing room? They're enemies of the state.
It's a great question.
You know.
Oh, the court ruled they have to be there, by the way.
And the White House press corps actually controls most of that. Like we have White House press credentials through the administration, but if we'd never be invited there either otherwise, you know?
Oh, I didn't even know that yours was indirect. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but did you guys see, so just you brought up Hunter Biden, and I do want to bring this up. Did you guys see that he's being sued by the woman who actually made the art that he pretended it was his?
Oh no! Are you?
No, I'm serious.
So there
was a woman who painted all the paintings that he pretended that were his, and he was to have.
He had a ghost painter.
He a ghost painter. Her name was ironically was Barron, and Miss Barron painted these paintings, and she was to get 20% of whatever he sold them for. Guess what? He didn't give her the money
because he's a crook. of a family of crooks.
The whole thing is a criminal enterprise. He basically pretended he painted these things. Okay, fine. If you're going to pay, you're going to have a ghost painter, which I've never even heard of. I've heard of a ghost.
Does his art still sell for $500,000?
No. It's
why.
No, I don't know. It's insane.
But I've got some of it. I use it for when I'm running low on toilet paper. But
you know, it's another story that nobody rewinds back to. Remember, Trump's second bogus impeachment was when he picked up the phone to call Zelensky to defraud this whole thing with the Biden Foundation.
Hey,
I mean, he was absolutely calling for the exact right reason.
Swalwell was just stopped by the FBI and his electronic devices confiscated. Where the hell was the reporting of that?
Swallow's a treasoner. And
I know.
He's literally either being the prison down the road here in Florence, Colorado, or, given another kind of treatment. He's a treasonist.
Before
they knew he was taking bribes from a Chinese spy. They knew it, and they chose not to do anything about it.
They only ditched him when it became inconvenient because he was going to create an opportunity for a Republican to win the California gubernatorial election. That's all it is. That's all it is. Just like what they did to Bernie, just like what they did to Biden.
Yes, Democrats took him out. Absolutely. Guys, one more aspect of Murkowski before we let it go, and I want to get this in so we can all comment on it before Don Hooper gets in. Lisa Murkowski is pissed because James O'Keefe was offered a ballot in her brother's name to vote in her brother's name because Alaska's elections are so secure, folks, that he showed up and said, what's his name? Brian somebody or other. And they offered his ballot to him and they got it all on tape. So Lisa Murkowski's pissed that her very predicate, we lost Chris. The only reason why she wasn't passing the Save America Act is because there was really no problem and it would place an undue burden. All of it was a lie. But now she's going, Alex, after James O'Keefe. She wants to legally prosecute James O'Keefe because he exposed how crooked the Alaskan voting system is.
Like Newsom with Shirley in California.
You want to play a video?
Yeah, go.
Is this?
Well, no, I don't have that. I mean, I thought you had something.
No, I don't have it. Yeah.
But no, Lisa Murkowski.
No, I saw it. She's insane. She's literally calling for his prosecution.
Yes.
He didn't take the ballot. He just asked, hey, I want to vote and you don't need my ID. And I could pretend like I'm the brother of anyone, including Lisa or cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
The other narrative we have to just recondition people to, because it's absolutely nonsense, is like it has to be easy to vote. Voting is a sacred right and privilege. It needs to be right. It doesn't need to be easy. In fact, make it harder. You need to be an informed citizen. I'm not saying that's a qualification, but it doesn't have to be easy. And I hate it when that trope gets trotted out.
Well, you know what? The idea that you have to prove who you are, who you say you are when you're registered to vote, or when that you're a U.S. citizen and that you have to present an ID, that is not onerous in the least. It is not. It doesn't make it any harder to vote. And I resent the hell out of all of you left-wing nutbags out there who say that people who look like me with a Latino surname or blacks, that we don't have the brains to get a free state-issued ID.
It's nonsense, though, and they know they know it's nonsense. They just want to cheat.
They just want to cheat.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's all there is to it.
It's worse. It's worse than, if I can get this last thing in, Alex, it's worse than the Democrats want to cheat. The Republicans are making it so they can. The Republican Senate is making it so the Democrats can continue to cheat. That's what the stab in the back is. Yes.
Obviously, I mean, Lisa Murkowski, went on the floor of the Senate and lied, basically made up a completely fake story, which some guy from New Jersey, James O'Keefe, was able to fly to her state and immediately debunk within moments of arriving.
Yep.
And John Thune, he sends the whole Senate on a vacation for 37 days and not working on any of the issues that we need in this country. At the end of the day, it's frustrating as hell. And I'm hopeful that we can still hold on to the Senate. I have this weird fantasy that maybe we could hold on to the House, which I don't think is true, but I think it's happening. I mean, I think there's some possibility, but we're at the point where, we have the ability to govern this country in an appropriate way, and we keep choosing not to because for whatever reason, we're not making the reasonable decisions, and it's just frustrating to me. I know you feel the same.
Well, Chris, it's because we keep on electing these same shrubs. It took us 24 years to get rid of a fake Republican by the name of John Cornyn, because for our people, it was good enough. He just wandered around every 6 years and claimed he was a conservative. Then he would go govern or rule as a leftist. And then he would come back and say, conservative this, conservative that. And we just keep on electing the shrub. So, I mean, our people have got to get more engaged, do we not?
Yeah, it's as you know, the power of incumbency is tremendous. And the problem we have with Congress right now is it just incentivizes all the wrong kinds of people to run for office. Their motivation is not correct. They want to go create generational wealth for their families and stay there forever until they either die or go crazy. By the way, do we know where Mitch McConnell's alive today or not? I don't know. Like we desperately need term limits. There's going to have to be a national movement, whether it's convention states or otherwise, to do it. But it's time to get incredible, have a grassroots effort like the Tea Party effort to get incredibly focused around that issue, because they're, as you know, they're waiting him out. The uniparty folks are waiting him out. The deep state's waiting him out. They've never supported anything on his agenda. The guy got elected many would say 3 times nationally on border security and immigration reform. We have now wasted a second Republican trifecta, have no border security and immigration reform bill. We turn around in 2028, lose that election to Democrats. It's wide open borders again. And problem is voters have short memories. They think that these executive orders have solved the problem. And as you guys know, we haven't solved anything.
No.
Nothing.
No,
and it's just that they don't have the courage to do it. And the same thing is true with the SAVE Act. And it's incredible. And by the way, if we lose in November, if Republicans lose in November, I mean, this is part of the reason why. They haven't delivered.
Yeah, but they're going to blame Trump. They're going to blame Trump, and they're going to blame Iran, and they're going to blame everybody but them. Folks, just wait. It'll be
administration. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
It'll be John Thune saying, well, we just need to put up quality candidates. He'll be slamming Ken Paxton if the Senate is lost, if it's a wipeout in the midterms, which I don't believe it's going to be. But I have told this to every member of the House that I've spoken to. The reason why they're having such a tough re-election campaign is because the Senate sat on its lazy ass and didn't do a damn thing for the American people for the last year and a half. And that's the truth.
The House too, with the border security immigration thing. That's
wait a minute. The House passed the Save America Act 4 times.
That's fair. To me, it's just I can't believe that we don't even talk.
They're not doing nothing over there. I mean, they're not doing everything we want them to, but they're not doing nothing. The Senate is literally doing
border security immigration reform should have been the top priorities. I mean, SAVE Act 1 and 1A. 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
There's this other dynamic that exists. Everybody, the saying everybody hates Congress and loves their congressperson because they all just do this all the time, right? And and here we are. It's just paralysis, and that is going to affect turnout. I think the other thing that potentially affects turnout very negatively is there has been no accountability for the crimes of the Biden administration.
True.
Zero.
Totally true.
I mean, nobody's gone.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You just teed something up for me. Alex, bring up what I've got on X. This is perfect. Have a look at this. This is our buddy Eric Daughtry. I can't bring it any bigger than this, guys, so I'll just have to read it to you. Senator Mike Lee just came out here moments ago and laid the hammer. Guys, says it's time to impeach Obama judge Indira Talwani as she goes on a power trip, subverting the Supreme Court. Quote, federal judges who repeatedly and wrongly cosplay as president should face impeachment charges. Impeach this judge. Talwani is now planning to block the United States Postal Service in ballot rules again. The time is now. Impeach. This is another example, Alex. The Republicans who are in the Congress is in charge of reining in rogue judges. They refuse to do it, and they continue to allow these leftist judges to subvert the will of 77 million Americans who put President Trump into office. That's a problem. To Chris's point, that's the problem.
No, I agree completely. I mean, her thesis is that she didn't like the fact that the United States Postal Service continued with the public comment period for their rulemaking that required us to decide to basically only send ballots out to actual citizens. And so she wanted them to stop that. Now, of course, her ruling wasn't necessarily that specific, but then when the Supreme Court overruled her and said, no, we're going to stay that, she's now trying to get back in the game. Now, as you told me earlier, I hadn't seen this actually.
Yeah,
but
she tried to say that the administration didn't fulfill her restrictions when it was in place, so thus she was trying to hold the administration in contempt. And now, because the Supreme Court basically said, well, we're telling you guys filed your lawsuits too early because nothing has gone into place yet, and that they hadn't even finalized the rules of the Postal Service. So now the Postal Service has come out and laid it out. They're saying, well, now is the time to file these cases, and then she's going to get in the way again. It's great for Senator Mike Lee to sit on vacation as the Senate is on vacation and say, hey, we really ought to do something. Yeah, we've been saying that for a year and a half. Hell, we've been saying it for 10 years. You Republicans ought to do something. And to Chris's point, this is precisely why I believe there's going to be a lot of headwinds out there, because they're dispiriting the base, and they're doing it on purpose. They're giving us nothing to vote for, and President Trump's not on the ballot. They're in the process of handing this country back over to Democrats. And gentlemen, as we're joined by Don Hooper now, gentlemen, the problem is when the Republicans turn it back over to Democrats, Democrats won't be there. It'll be socialists, because socialists are winning the Democrat primaries. And that's how dangerous what John Thune and John Cornyn and the rest of them are doing by working to dispirit Republican and conservative voters and enabling the takeover of Congress of left-wingers. Don Hooper, hey, my man.
Hey, Chris, Harry, congratulations on the new show. I'm excited for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very kindly. Don Hooper, folks, is a longtime conservative activist. You can give the X address of where people can catch up with you.
ACF, or the Houston Conservative Forum. So if you go to X and just type in Houston Conservative Forum, it'll take you to me.
There you go. And Alex and Don, I learned of you coming on, which I'm very happy to have you here the last minute. So Alex, why don't you take over what you wanted to have Don on us talk about specifically?
Yeah, no, I actually asked Don to come on because they've got this new wire, and they're basically bringing out what's going on in Texas and in local politics as well. And so I thought, hey, come tell us about what you're doing. And then I thought we could talk about like Don's got a lot of stuff we could talk about. I think I'd love to talk about the wire, what he's working on right now. But I also think about, it's also a great opportunity to talk about closed primaries in Texas, that kind of thing. So why don't we just start with Don? Why don't you promote what you're working on, and then let's flip into closed primaries, then go from there. And then you just join us for the rest of the, as long as you want to hang out. So
thank you. Well, so after I ran for party chair here in Harris County, and after that ended, and Chris, thank you very much, and Alex for supporting me and endorsing me, I set up or began, and I had been talking about doing this for years, an aggregator site for news in the Houston area. And it was kind of modeled after what Kevin Whited had done with Blog Houston. I thought Kevin had done a really good job with it. And then Kevin's left the area, or he's moved. And when he moved, he had stopped writing quite some time ago, but I didn't want to compete with him on a one-to-one thing. But, I told him, hey, I'm thinking about setting up to act, and he was extremely supportive. And what we're trying to do is kind of capture all of the things that we think local news is missing, especially a lot of the legal stuff. This morning, I wrote a piece about Alejandro Salinas, who is one of our newer city councilman in Houston who has led the effort to stop the Houston Police Department from conversing with ICE in any way. She had first made a resolution through the city council to do it, and Governor Abbott quickly cut off the city of Houston and or threatened to if they didn't reverse that and cooperate with ICE. But she's at it again, and she's trying to. It went to court. Kim Paxton quickly went to court to block her and was successful. The court implemented some of it, and then she came back and is trying to stop the police department from cooperating with ICE in any way. There was only 19, or I think 19 people, I believe, that were held by the Houston Police Department over this period of time for ICE, and I don't think 14 of them were in the process of committing crimes when they were caught. So obviously, ICE should have been notified, and they had ICE detainers on them as well as committing crimes, and it's just an ongoing effort of leftists that continue to want to destroy the criminal justice system in Harris County. But she's a little bit unique because she worked for Sussman Godfrey, which is the law firm that implemented what's called the O'Donnell Consent Decree, which has freed all of these crazy people out on bond or given them free bonds. Everything. Well, last time I looked, we had about 1,000 people on bond for murder in Harris County. Of that, 300 approximately, and of course it changes by the day, were out on bond for capital murder. And
people are out on bond who have been accused of murder? Seriously?
Oh, accused of capital murder. We've got people, 2 people right now out on bond for murdering Harris County Constable Urson, and we had and I think he's still on bond for murdering a Houston police officer.
So wait, you can get bond if you're out on capital murder?
Yeah, in Harris County you can.
In Harris County you can. You see, to me, Don, this is just an example of what you're describing, and I'm sure this is what the aggregator site's going to cover, is if it's Democrat, if it's left wing, it's lawless. The laws don't apply, and it's more than the laws don't apply to me. The laws don't apply to anybody, so we can continue to sow chaos and show that the American system is really terrible. This is what the communist and the socialist objective is to destroy confidence in the American system. But that's the whole thing. They're not adhering to the American system. They are actually working inside the system, disobeying the laws and the rules, and then blaming the system for all of their malfeasance. It's what leftists and communists have done time immemorial. Yes.
Yes, and she in particular, and I'll just give you a quick anecdote. In 2022, we had a terrible election here in Harris County, and there was 22 election contests filed on the results of that election, and that's when they shorted the paper in the conservative areas, and people couldn't go vote, primarily all in the conservative areas, and there was election contest, and it was all put into a visiting judge's court. And so for the first time, all the lawyers were getting together, and this was the first time for the visiting judge, who was from San Antonio, a very good judge, and everybody was introducing themselves in the courtroom. And when they got to Lena Hidalgo's lawyer, because she was being sued by Alex Mueller, Lena Hidalgo's lawyer, 2 guys, very well dressed, got up and said, "Mr. Mann is not here, and he's unavailable, and we're here representing Miss Hidalgo today, Your Honor," and was explaining that Mr. Mann was not here. And our party chair turned around to the executive director of the of the Harris County Republican Party and said, "Hey, write that name down." And I turned around and looked at her and said, "Let me help you. Neil Mann's not here today because he's in New York removing Tucker Carlson from Fox News."
Yeah.
And that was part of the settlement. And he
Wow.
was the lawyer for Dominion, also representing Lena Hidalgo, who was law partners with Miss Salinas, and who
Well,
is proposing this ICE thing. And you just
oddly
can't make
enough,
this stuff.
look, that law firm, we had some, I'm assuming it's the same law firm. We had some experience with the former network I was a part of. By the way, the lawsuits are being dropped all over the place, from My Pillow to, well, the settlements with Newsmax, which, I mean, if I were Newsmax, I would go back and say, as they're dropping all these cases against Lindell, as they're dropping all these cases against My Pillow, because there was no there. I think they really, these settlements really ought to be looked at again. I would suggest.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think
Crazy.
Fox News wrote a check for like $834 million.
Yeah.
It was a huge number, and Tucker Carlson had to leave the network.
Yeah.
But again, it's those details, and of course, the Houston Chronicle or our local media is not going to write about it. And we created a site, and as a matter of fact, if you go to the hcfwire.com, at the top of it, it says, "I'm on your show right now." So it's a link.
It's going to be a Drudge report for Harris County.
Yes,
Well,
that's the
actually, I should
model.
say a Drudge report when Drudge was actually running it, when it was actually a good aggregator site. When whoever Matt Drudge sold Drudge Report to, just completely ruined the site. I mean,
I think that was purposeful.
Yeah, I used to use it.
Oh, me too.
And then as soon as Matt Drudge sold it, I said, "This is all complete crap. This is all complete garbage," and stopped using it. So you will have the old style Drudge Report going on in Harris County, and
with technology.
With technology,
like you guys.
The third biggest. No, actually, yeah, it was the fourth biggest city in America, and the sixth largest TV and radio market in the country, in Houston. You'll be running that kind of site. That's cool, man. Very cool.
Well, and it is amazing, and I've learned a lot from Alex. It is amazing that what Claude and Grok can do to help you do all this stuff. And it's been fun. It's been entertaining to learn how to do it. But I just want something that people could get up, like you described. I used to get up in the morning, and the first thing I do is I turn on my computer and look at the Drudge Report.
Yep.
And hopefully people in the Houston area will get up in the morning and look at the HCF Wire, because you're going to see stories about local government. You're going to see stories about state government. You're going to see stories about legal cases, criminal cases that you're not going to see on any other media outlet.
Man, if you can make this go, it'll be a template to launch, one in Dallas, to launch one in Fort Worth, launch one in Austin, all the blueberries, rather, with the exception of Fort Worth, all the blueberries in the tomato soup that Governor Rick Perry had observed at one point. I think if this catches on, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
I love what you guys are doing. Like every Sunday, you guys have a space that I enjoy, which it covers. Obviously, it's focused a little bit on Harris County, but it also focuses on the complete state of Texas. So anyone who's
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna. Our dear friend Michelle Smith is usually on with us, and so you get the perspective of what's going on with the Attorney General's race for Senate, and then you get a lot of perspective of what's going on with the Attorney General's office from Michelle. You have my wife on, who is the former general counsel of the Republican Party of Texas, and
a darn good one too.
Yeah, she's been involved with just about all the litigation that you can imagine when it comes to election contests throughout the state, and specifically at Harris County. If she's not in it, she's hired the team to do it and working on the pleadings, and you'll see, as lawyers use the site and it's set up for them that they can get on there and they can download the pleadings and read the arguments and understand what the background is. A lot of which is just glossed over by the media. And of course, if you're running a television station or whatnot, you cannot, get the detail that that we pick up. And then, Rachel's doing this for a lot of her clients anyway. And so, we were thinking, we just need to put it out there so everybody can read it. And that's what we've tried to accomplish here.
Well, I think that's a great segue because Rachel's, she's had a long-term strategy to help Texas be able to close, particularly the Republican Party, close their primaries. So I would love for you, obviously, Rachel is busy tonight, so she couldn't join us, but I'd love for you to give us a kind of an update as to what is going on with that litigation in Texas at closing our primaries, because I think we all agree that it's very important that we do that. And, obviously it's a very controversial issue. I'd love to know what's going on.
Well, right now we're just in waiting for the federal judge after we waited for the new Secretary of State. And Abbott, I thought, was going to appoint our friend Nate Schatzline to be the new Secretary of State. And he had given up his job and I guess he's on the governor's staff now. And we had a change of chairman at the party, and I don't, for whatever reason, Abbott put in Mr. Houghton, and
I've got some insight into that. There's a rule in Texas that even if you resign your position, you have to wait. I think it's 1 calendar year before you can accept another position in government. Right. So Mr. Schatzline couldn't take over when needed. I'm hearing through the grapevine the plan is supposed to be that Mr. Schatzline takes over at the first of the year after he's eligible, but I don't know.
Hopefully that'll happen.
Let me pop in here. I mean, so there is this opinion that was written by a attorney general, and he had written this saying that there was this reasoning that someone who was confirming, of a body who was confirming someone who couldn't necessarily be appointed during that term. And there was a number of, it was kind of interesting, that particular opinion. One, the issue is that it may not be accurate that that's actually true. But the person that wrote that opinion was Governor Abbott when he was the attorney general. And so it's ironic that he would have basically convinced Nate to not take the job, to go buy a house in Austin and basically, convince him to become the new Secretary of State. And then once that was announced, suddenly he decides, oh my God, I forgot that I signed this opinion many years ago that would preclude him from taking that job. Now, one, that opinion could easily be rescinded. Two, it's probably not constitutional. And three, if there was one person who should have known about that opinion, it would have been the person who actually was involved in the entire situation. So I think what happened is that, can you, so maybe Don, you probably know who, so the lieutenant governor's son, what does he do all day? Like, what's his job?
Well, his new job is CEO of TLR.
Oh God. And what does TLR have a position on closed or open primaries? Do they have a position that they're taking on that?
Well, they're highly opposed. In anybody who runs, well, let's put it this way. If you're big establishment PAC, you don't want close primaries because you can buy elections. You can raise enough, and TLR's by far and away the largest PAC in Texas. And the lieutenant governor's son, Ryan, is the CEO of TLR now. And they are opposed to it. I'd heard from many of the state legislators last session because there were two bills to close our primaries in the last legislative session, one in the Senate, one in the House. Mays Middleton's bill and Mike Schofield's bill.
Nate's bill.
Nate's bill. Well, Nate had one too, but I think there were some that were closer and further away.
Sure.
Nate had a bill, I believe, to what the party was trying to do, and it didn't get out of committee, didn't get a hearing, and the governor, says and the new guy was asked by the federal judge in San Antonio, are you, as the new Secretary of State, still opposed to closing the primary? And he responded in a pleading saying that he wanted to have the legislature take a shot at it, which
Can I
found
stop you there, Don? Because
bet.
I had a discussion with Governor Abbott about this very topic.
Oh my God! Please tell us.
And you heard the interview, Don, I'm sure, when I asked Governor Abbott. I said, look, I didn't want to get into the Supreme Court already saying that we Americans have a right of association. Government can't compel us to associate with somebody else. I don't want to go down that road, Governor. I don't want to go down the road of the political parties being private organizations that the federal government shouldn't be able to command who their membership is. I don't want to go down that road. What I do want to go is just back to first principles. And if we believe as conservatives and as Republicans that we are a government of, by, and for the people, that allowing politicians to choose the manner in which they are elected is not from the people. That is cutting the people out of the equation. And I mean, everything else does apply that I first mentioned. But I mean, as a principle, you do not allow politicians to determine how they are elected.
Right. Well, and you don't allow members of the Democratic Party to determine what the membership is of the Republican Party any more than we should be determined. Matter of fact, when the new Secretary of State came out with his pleading and said that he wanted to go back to the legislature, I said, so you want Eugene Wu voting on our party rules? And
unreal.
But more importantly, I think I wrote a piece about it, and I said, not only that, if we're going to do that, if we're going to have the Democrats vote on what the Republican Party rules are going to be, let's vote on what the Democratic rules should be, the Democratic Party rules should be, and let's just ban all Marxists and socialists before we take this vote.
I agree.
For the Republicans, and because and it's the most famous legal case in all American history, Goose v. Gander. If it's good enough for the Republicans, it's good enough for the Democrats. If we as a body, the state legislature, is going to be voting on what the membership of the Republican Party is, we should absolutely vote on what the membership of the Democratic Party is first. Because, it's majority vote, and we can certainly ban all the Marxists and socialists.
See, and guys, this leads to the broader discussion we were having before you joined, Don. And it's the way the country has been proceeding. And if everybody will remember, before the Reagan Revolution, before Newt Gingrich, the Democrats held control of the Congress for 40 years. Four decades, the Republicans were in the minority, were out in the wilderness, and couldn't really impact much of anything in this country. And the Republican Party was happy to be there. And if it wasn't for these now, well, according to the mainstream Republicans, these disgraced guys like Newt Gingrich and Ronald Reagan and those who had led this revolution, we still might not have a contest today. I think there's an earnest desire to get back to letting leftists make all the rules and have the Republicans just yell real loud and bitch and moan about it and complain about it, but have nothing happen in the affirmative to stop the large lurch left that we've been seeing. The problem is the Democrat Party has been taken over by communists, by socialists. And that's the issue, is it not?
Yeah, no, that is the issue. And, at one point, I think you could have made the argument that, we could, and I think it was probably over 10 years ago, but let's say you could talk with the Kinloch Democrats here in Harris County. And but I think that ship has sailed. They didn't even want to, the Democrats didn't even want to talk to the Kinloch Democrats in Harris County. And so this idea that we can somehow align ourselves with people who want to empty our prisons and our jails of very, very dangerous felons. They want to seize the means of production. They
Open
want to
borders.
open borders. All of it is crazy, which is the reason. And it was a labor of love for my wife for 6 years to figure out how do we best fix the Republican Party? What is the most broken thing that we can fix in it? And she came up with the thought from a guy named Clint Moore here in Houston, who had literally worked on trying to close our primaries for 30 years. And what Clint didn't have the benefit of was Clint didn't have the benefit of a bunch of recent Supreme Court rulings to do just that. So other states went in front of us. And then we started having rulings from the Supreme Court on, our ability to associate with who we choose as Republicans. And Rachel, learned counsel, was very diligent in studying the Texas Constitution and the laws that were changing here, and realized that, hey, all we have to do is to strip the code out from our own party rules of the Harris County that tied us to the state legislature, which she did. She was selected and appointed to be on the Rules Committee, and very quietly started to remove those things that tied us to the state legislature. And she was able to do that in the 2022 election. It was kind of funny. I was sitting in the Rules Committee when she was doing this, and it was only on the last day did this one woman, Kathy Hagler, figure out what she was doing. And interestingly enough, she used to work for John Cornyn, and she used to work for Andy Taylor, the lawyer. And so they, she went, wait a minute, Rachel's stripping all the rules. And then I don't know if there was a meeting that we didn't attend, but I think they figured out, because the next day she came back fighting Rachel on each one of the things that she was removing. Rachel had the votes by then, and it was, I think maybe one time somebody else joined with her, but I think it was like 12-1, 11, the votes were significant. I think maybe she got one or two people to join with her, but overwhelming, the Rules Committee agreed to do this. It went to the floor of the convention, and Rachel very eloquently led the body through that. And after she got through, and I was sitting at the back with Luke Macias and some people that work for the party, and this kid named Chad Shoemake was standing next to me, and she goes, Don, if Rachel had asked them to all start smoking, I think they would have. They just all, because when the final vote came to close the primary by the convention, I didn't hear, it was a voice vote. Everybody, yay. All those opposed, nothing. I didn't hear anybody. So I always joked that it was 9,000 to maybe one or two that voted to close the primary. But but we are here. I look at it as if we're on the 5-yard line. We've gotten a couple of bad rulings, and we're waiting for the longest video referee ruling, ever. But I think that we'll get there with this judge. I think that he could rule at any time. It's not. And by the way, everything that I'm talking about, everything that's being said, if you go to the hcfwire.com, there's a whole section, all of the pleadings, all of the arguments. I believe all of the video arguments from the convention may be on there. I'm not sure about that, but everything to do with closing the primaries is on the HCF Wire.
Hey, are you guys coming up? Are you and Rachel coming up for the midterm convention?
We don't have tickets and we haven't been invited.
What? You can't go? What? It's like an invite only convention. It's really wild.
Weird.
Well, when you told me you didn't get invited, and I could make the argument that the being a member of the press but you made that argument. Did they didn't?
I think I'm getting invited. I have been told I'm going to be invited. I still haven't got my tickets, but they did reach out and acted completely surprised and said, no, you're in the game. So that's a little, that's a new update.
Yeah. Were you talking to somebody from the RPT or were you talking to RNC people?
Both. So I was rejected by the National Party and the State Party. And then
join the club.
But I have more recently been, I did have someone reach out from the administration saying that, oh, that was crazy. And you're totally, we want you. I was told to bring you. We're going to be great. Here, fill this form out. You're going to be in. And so I filled out the form. I supposedly I'm in, but I still don't have any, I don't have the details. However, I live in Dallas, so the good news, I don't need a hotel. I'll just stay at my house.
Right.
However, if you guys all want to come over, I will do a convention cocktail party.
Housewarming party? You haven't had a housewarming party yet.
Count us in.
If you guys come on over, I will have light hors d'oeuvres and cocktails.
And I'll bring a plant.
Yeah, I think we probably have unlimited stay. I forget the Lowell's Anatel. The Lowell's Anatel, I think is the name of that hotel.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Rachel tried a case in Dallas that went on for 6 years, and it was kind of funny. Of course, she would go there on Monday and come back on Friday, and and I would occasionally go up there on the weekend, and I'd walk in, oh, Mr. Hooper, I was just like, how in the world do you know me? And of course, Rachel had made friends with everybody in that hotel, and they just treated us like gold there. And they gave me a hat. The Lowe's Anatole has their own Stetson hat, so it's a it's green and it's
well, hey,
open road,
Don, thanks for coming on, and everyone. I mean, tell us what the URL is for your site, and appreciate you talking about closed primaries too. So thanks for coming on, and if you're interested, the space he does every Sunday, it's like 7 a.m. So you got to be pretty committed. But I enjoy it. I'm on most Sundays. So tell us the URL and let us know kind of what you're working on, and I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, so it's the HCF Wire, Houston Conservative Forum, so hcfwire.com.
Got it.
And you can get there in lots of good information. We're updating stories around the state, constantly throughout the day. Everything you ever want to know about closed primaries. I wrote a whole series of stories about the impeachment of Ken Paxton. I'm thinking about putting that up there as well. I kept saying the Lowe's Anatole. I meant the Adolphus Hotel, where we stay. But yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't mind coming to the convention just to. It's kind of a weird lineup, didn't you think? Did you think it was a weird lineup? I saw the lineup today.
Oh, have they announced it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out. It's out. Yeah, what who's weird? Tell us Tell us what's weird.
Well, what I think is weird, I didn't see Abbott on there. I didn't see Dan Patrick on there, but I saw JD Vance, and I know that's not going to make Ted Cruz happy. So it's going to be,
Yeah, he was. Ted Cruz was on the Lieutenant Governor's podcast and
right
made some news by saying, it's no secret that I want to be president. And it's like, well, it was very frank of the senator,
Right. Well, but which I thought was wild because here you're in Texas and Ted Cruz isn't on the agenda, but JD Vance is, and then Dan's not on the agenda, and Dan has Ted Cruz on his podcast. But anyway, that was.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Maybe I'm just not. Let's see: schedule, events, sponsors, media, volunteers. Where do I find this list? Because all it just talks about is what's in
Well, there was the thing I saw the agenda and
it's under the
and I'll put it up on the HCF wire, but the agenda, the first 3 pages was the line or the first 2 pages was the lineup and the third was the vendors. But
yeah. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead, Alex. I don't have it.
No, so Wednesday, so that's September 9th, night 1. So we've got like 4 to 5. We've got a few different panels. We got working families and tax relief, rooting out waste and fraud, healthcare affordability. By 5 to 6, we're basically doing policy contrast, focusing on the differences between Republicans and Democrats. Then we've got legislative delivery, kind of like what have we done, what have we not done, and then we've got election integrity, public safety, basically focused on SAVE Act. So then 6 to 7, we've got a candidate showcase, introducing key candidates and target districts, blah, blah, blah. And then 7 to 8, we got trade and reshoring, education, cultural and common sense, accountability and healthcare. 8 to 9, public safety, economic expansion, government integrity. 9 to 10, we've got domestic manufacturing. And then we've got the vice presidential keynote. So he gives the keynote.
That's on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's Wednesday. So that's like, that's basically 9 to 10. So then Thursday, night 2, and Trump's going to be there. So he's going to, and I don't know how he is there, but he's there. Thursday, September 10th, night 2, we got working families, anti-corruption, education, promises made, promises kept. 5 to 6, the American dream, food security, sports, border security. 6 to 7, we got candidate showcase. Legacy and youth mobilization.
Hold on, candidate showcases when they're going to start. I mean, how many people are showing up of the high profile races?
We got the House pre-staging House, Senate, and governor candidates. So that's all they say.
Is it video or people?
I don't know.
Okay.
So then we got 7 to 8. We got drug costs, liberty and criminal justice, congressional reform, 9/11 remembrance, and then chronic disease, party agenda, opposition contrast, championing the working class, and then 9 to 10, Trump gives the presidential keynote. So that's kind of what we do. So you can just, if you look back at like each of those topics, I suspect we have almost everybody from every agency. So all the cabinet secretaries are going to be giving those, and then obviously we have the big candidates that are running in both the House and Senate races. Obviously, I think Vivek is going to be there for the Ohio governorship and so on.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday. Didn't want to disrupt the weekend with a convention, I suppose.
Just couple of days. I think that we had they've raised tremendous amounts of money.
Have they now?
Oh my God, yes. So
really?
Oh my God. So $45 million was raised for this event.
Well,
for the convention.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's
real money.
And, praise God, they'll give some of it to Ken Paxton because he could use it. And frankly, I've got to be honest. You've got the Republicans are awash in cash right now, and if we can just get it out of Chris LaCivita's hands and FP1 Strategies' hands, and get it into conservatives' campaigns like Ken Paxton and others across the country, we might have a chance. Might have a chance.
Well, I know Alex Muse has been working on that, and I know that everybody's very grateful. And I came late to the show today, but I'm embargoed from saying anything. I don't know. Maybe Alex has talked about it, but
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I guess I'm sworn to secrecy too, so I can't say.
No, I think we all are maybe, but and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I know Alex has been very busy and everybody's very happy. So
yeah,
thank you, Alex.
Yeah, no, but Ray Washburn, obviously he was the chair of the committee for the midterm convention. He's, owner of Highland Park Village, and obviously he was involved in the first Trump administration, OPIC, and so on. So he's done a great job. He's hanging out. He's on a cruise in Europe right now, but he'll be back, I think.
Of course he is.
But he raised. I think the number was $45 million for this event, and just
wow. So it was raised locally for this event.
Well,
the people in Dallas?
Nationally, but yeah, from people that really want us to succeed. And we also have, Ken has been raising some significant money, directly to the campaign, but also indirectly to the super PAC. Elon is putting over 15 million into his campaign right now, and so we're going to start seeing Ken.
Well, you said it.
Well, yeah, I thought we were sworn to secrecy. I'm glad you break it here, dude. And
we're going to start seeing some of that money being, pushed into the pushed into advertising here very shortly. So,
by the way, your wife is so not yours.
Mine. I'm not married. What are you talking about?
Dawn, your wife is so intuitive. The reason why we're having the convention on Wednesday and Thursday is because of college football, which I'd forgotten would be going on. So cannot interfere with college football in any manner, shape, or form. That's big in Texas, and you know what? That's the only football I watch these days because of the woke NFL and all kinds of woke sports. So yeah, as always, by the way, hi to Rachel for all of us. She's always spot on.
Yes. No, I'm married up. That's for sure.
well, we invited Rachel to come, but she told me she's too busy, but she sent her stand in. So.
She is watching.
Yeah. Yes. So it's amazing that, all of the time that she used to spend on the, Republican Party of Texas has allowed her to actually go back to her very demanding clients. And so it's but anyway, guys, thanks for having me on. Please go to the hcfwire.com, and Rachel and I will be up on our space on Sunday.
Already up there. I already have it saved in my favorites, man. It's a great job. Nice looking website.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Well, Alex, I guess there's only one more thing to do. Wow. So there you go. I was going to say, but the boxes were uneven. Alex has control of the boxes now.
What college football games are you looking forward to? Are you going to any? What are you doing?
No, I'm not going to any. I'm just going to be, TCU. I'll be watching, of course, what the Horned Frogs do. I am invested in that football team.
Yes.
Because I just, frankly, LaDainian Tomlinson came from there, and I was a Charger fan at one time. So anyway, we have one more thing to do, which is tell folks what's going on about.
What is going on? I can't wait to find out. I sort of know a little, but I feel like I don't know anything, and I would love to hear the real story.
Well, I wrote an article about it, and I did send it to you, but I know you probably didn't have time to read it because you're so dang busy, raising money for Ken Paxton, something the Republican National Committee and this Republican National Senatorial Committee ought to be doing. Anyhow,
as a paid shill, I do my best.
Yes, as a paid shill. Okay, the Chris Salcedo Show left after 14 years, the voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV, great station, great bunch of people, owned by the Lieutenant Governor, and just had a great time there for 14 years. and it was tough to say goodbye. And I really did try to do both of these ventures, but the timing, the clocks didn't work out. So we have been broadcasting just to the Salcedo audience online only since Monday. The new hours are 6 a.m. Eastern to 9 o'clock Eastern, 3 hours instead of 2, Monday through Friday. Torch Radio goes live on the massive Glenn Beck infrastructure and iHeart and too many other platforms to even name. I mean, music platforms, all kinds of platforms. We go live on Monday. The clearinghouse to find out all of the stuff, where you can download the player, where you can listen live online on the computer. You can do that all at glennbeck.com/radio, glennbeck.com/radio, starting Monday. Okay. So, but those of you who are Salcedo Show audience folks, just know that the stream will not be impacted. That goes to Rumble, that goes to Getter, that goes to X. That none of that will be interrupted. The video will continue, but the audio, which is going to be sent out to the infrastructure, will be, frankly, in my experience, it is unparalleled in digital media, the reach it will have. So I'm incredibly excited. Can't wait. We had the shakedown week of getting all the technical bugs taken care of, and Torch Radio with me, your liberty-loving Latino in mornings, Glenn Beck, Justin Barclay, and then Scotty rounding out afternoon drive, and then we're filling out the schedule, but we got the basic day parts filled out, and then things will expand into the overnight hours and then into weekend programming, which is already happening. So there you go. That's the 411 Senior Muse.
No, it's great. And I want to make my own announcement is that, so starting as an experiment, and I've been taking advice from my friend Chris, and he's got a lot more experience with this than I do. But I think we're going to start doing nightly third rail episodes like this, but because he's busy, I will host them. And I think we're going to start, we haven't settled for sure, but I think it's going to be starting tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and do a 5 o'clock show. And so I don't know if I can do 2 hours. I think it'll just be one. So I'm going to do a 5 o'clock show, basically go over the news of the day, what's going on, etc. And so we'll have a third rail every single weekday. And
starting at 5 Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah. So starting at 5 tomorrow. And then of course, Chris will have the login. So anytime he's got time, he's going to be busy. So we can't expect him to come all the time, but he's going to have the ability to come. Chris Putnam, etc. will be able to come. So we may have guests, we may have co-hosts, etc. But it'll be me every night. And so we're going to start doing that every single night. So you're going to be able to expect a third rail every night of the week. Wednesdays will be with Chris, and then every other night will be, who knows, you'll get me and maybe someone else, maybe Chris. We'll see. So that's kind of the new strategy. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the long show will be on Wednesdays, as it has been, folks, but Alex will be taking third rail. It will be Monday through Friday third rail, starting at 5, just on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday will be shorter. Monday, Tuesday, sorry. And then Thursday, Friday will be shorter. The big long show will be on Wednesdays, as it normally is. And then I'll pop in, and other various guests and other luminaries will be popping in as Alex arranges it. And so make sure that this is your 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern destination, third rail right here on X.
Great. Well, I think it was nice having Chris on tonight. He's just jumping on because he's out in Colorado right now, so it was kind of good to have him in. And then,
do you think you could take on one more project if Dawn's conservative website that is successful? Do you think you could launch one in Dallas?
Oh, we can do that too. I do think that we could come up with a better URL. Just me talking.
Well, I know.
I love Don. I'm like, but could we do a better URL? But other than that, yes, of course we could add that in. And
might just call it third rail to keep the branding. Third the Third Rail website, which would be a clearinghouse.
We probably need to do that. I need to get that domain if we don't have it already. But yeah, no, I think so. I think what we'll do is I think we watch what he's doing and add if that makes some sense. I agree. So
Yeah. And
he's broadcasting our stuff on there. He's got our Twitter handles, basically broadcasting and our live stream there. So yeah,
that's good, man. And like I said, what he's doing down there, he's doing God's work and keep trying to keep things honest. And Houston is in a really bad way. I mean, everybody, we got our struggles in North Texas too, McKinney and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah. And then if those two cities start getting a lot of traction, then we can expand to Austin and sky's the limit. So let's see.
Well, hey, congratulations on your new show. I'm excited for you. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully it'll bring some exposure to our program. So I'm kind of excited about that as well.
Of course,
so.
You've been a regular guest on the Chris Salcedo show as your time permits, because I know you've been busy and haven't we all? But yeah, that's not gonna stop. So we'll continue to cross promote Third Rail, Chris Salcedo show, Alexander Muse, Third Rail, and all of your side projects that you're doing on X. Okay,
great.
All right,
Well,
guys.
good.
Hey,
Well,
good
see
night.
you next Wednesday on our show, and then tomorrow, for those of you who want to tune in to the Third Rail. I guess we call it Third Rail Light Edition.
No, I think we just go with Third
Rail.
the Third Rail. It's 5:00 Central, 6:00 Eastern, Monday through Friday.
And you will start the Torch show on Monday. Is that when you go real live?
Yeah, that's when we bust out of just the Salcedo audience online, and we bust out nationwide is on Monday.
Well, keep me posted. I'll try to post that on X, make sure everybody knows to tune in.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you kindly.
Okay. Cheers.
Good night.
Good night.